Antique rugs have been sought after by vintage lovers for decades. If you're in the market for one of these, there's a lot to know to help you determine what era and place in the world it's from. By viewer request, today I'm talking about what to know about antique rugs. Hi everyone, I'm Jennifer. Welcome to Antiquing Adventures, where I share the vintage treasures I find in thrift stores and antique malls. Thanks for coming on this adventure with me. Before we get started, I've included links in the description of the websites I used to gather information for this video, so check those out if you want more detailed information. The art of rug making goes back thousands of years, and examples can be found from all over the world. Identifying where a rug may have been made is a first step in determining its value. The term Oriental rugs refers to rugs made anywhere from Turkey to the Middle East to India or China. Perhaps most well known are Persian rugs, which came from Persia, which is modern day Iran. Some design features that set these apart include symmetry in the design, meaning it's consistent across the whole rug, paisley designs, and or a medallion or rosette in the center of the rug. They may have a smooth or bound edge or a fringed edge and usually feature colors of black, ivory, red, or blue. Persian rugs are typically the most highly valued antique rugs. European rugs often feature asymmetrical designs, floral or garland motifs, and muted colors like rose, green, or gold. Sometimes the pattern in these rugs matched the pattern on the ceiling where it was originally housed. In the US, there are three types of vintage or antique rugs to keep an eye out for. Rugs made by indigenous peoples often feature geometric designs and use a flat weave. Perhaps most well known of these are those made by the Navajo. Other styles of American rugs include Art Nouveau rugs, popular in the late 1800s to early 1900s, which include nature themes and fluid lines. Art Deco rugs were popular in the 1920s and 30s and are very geometric in design. Rag rugs are handmade from scraps of leftover fabric or old worn out clothing, becoming popular in the 1800s. Before fabric was mass produced, it was handmade and very valuable. Some of you may remember the days only a few decades ago when most people repaired clothing and kept wearing it until it fell apart, unlike the fast fashion of today. But being resourceful, our ancestors wasted nothing and used those old clothing straps to weave or braid rugs for their home. One tip: older rag rugs will often have more muted colors with less pattern, as clothing was often made from wool, which was less colorful. Hook rugs, made by using a hook to attach individual pieces of yarn to a stiff backing, began being popular in the 1840s. It's important to know that prior to 1868, patterns were not created for these rugs. So if you find a hook rug without a specific pattern, it's possible it was made before 1868. I remember doing one of these kits years ago. Anyone know if they still make them? So what should you look for when you're trying to determine if a rug is actually vintage? A few things to pay attention to include lack of bright colors. Brightly colored rug dyes were not made until the 1920s, so rugs older than this may have a more subtle color palette. Another possible clue: dates woven into the rug. Persian and Oriental rugs sometimes include this information, although apparently sometimes it's not entirely reliable. Also look for rugs made from natural materials like wool, cotton, or silk. In general, anything manufactured with synthetic materials like polyester or acrylic is not vintage. Additionally, the fringe on vintage rugs will not have been sewn on separately, but is woven in as part of the entire rug's fibers. An easy test for age is to press a damp cloth against the rug. If color from the rug stains the cloth, it's probably not vintage, as vegetable dyes were used in vintage rug making and do not bleed. Some things that add to a rug's value include the amount of detail in the design, especially in hand-woven rugs. Material used makes a difference, as silk rugs are often the most valuable. Vintage rugs were hand knotted as compared to modern rugs, which use a tufting method. In terms of value, the higher the number of knots per inch, or KPI, in a vintage rug, the higher the value. Finally, the age of the rug increases its value as well. Do you own a vintage or antique rug? Share your story in the comments. Also, let me know what vintage treasures you'd like me to feature in the future. If you liked this video, make sure you follow the adventure by subscribing and hitting the notification bell. See you on my next adventure.